Hello, 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 and welcome to today's episode of Her Version. The Her Version podcast is dedicated to sharing stories of struggle and triumph, a platform that allows individuals to tell their truth in order to inspire and uplift others. For those of you that are new to this podcast and like content like this, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you follow, like, and share. I am your host, Sabrina Victoria. Let's jump right in. Hello, and thank you for joining us today for this episode of Her Version. The Her Version platform is built on storytelling and the understanding that many times our greatest learning experiences come from listening to other people's stories. Today, I am speaking with an amazing woman named Betsy Abrams. Betsy is the founder of Five Wellbeing, which has raving reviews on all platforms I checked as being a world-class experience in the world of spas. I literally, while going through this, I'm going off script a little bit. When I was going through your reviews, I was like, I need to go to this place.
You totally do. You need to come.
For real. I'm checking plane tickets. I'm like, is it worth it just for a spa day? I don't know. But it looks amazing. Really does. Everything you would expect from a spa and so much more. Betsy has experimented with many methods of self-care in her lifetime, but it was not until the passing of her husband from pancreatic cancer that she uncovered a real need for nurturing our culture. Today, we are going to be talking about life, lost love, self-care, and the importance of following your heart and letting the universe guide you. Welcome, Betsy.
Thank you, Sabrina. So great to be here with you. You've got such great energy. I appreciate that.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm totally for real about this. So anybody who's on right now listening live, you have to first listen to the podcast.
Yes.
But you have to check out her website is right above her head area, fivewellbeing.com. If anything, just check it out. It just sounds and looks, the pictures, everything.
Yeah. Well, and not to like go off on a tangent, but we do offer virtual facials. We do facial parties online. So if anybody lives outside of Denver and you want to have some self-care at home, we do offer a really great program for that. So,
dude, I've never heard of that.
Yeah, we started pandemic. Will bring out the creativity. That's for sure.
Oh, I love it. That is so cool.
Yeah.
Oh, that's something I've never heard of.
Yeah.
Well, I want to ask, what is, let's start this off. What has been the best thing, your rose, that's happened to you this year? And what has been the worst thing, your thorn, that has happened to you in the past year?
So being a sole parent, I call it, because, I'm not a single parent. I don't have somebody to, help me with, my upbringing. My daughter just recently got her driver's license. And I mean, I know that sounds crazy, but it's created such a difference, not only for my life, but for hers, just that freedom. And that's really, honestly, one of the best things that's happened this year. In addition, my business has just doubled. We've done more business so far this year than we did all of our first 2 years of being in business. So those are some two, really, one personal and one on the business side. And I would say the thorn of it is, well, on my daughter's side, it's like she's growing up, and that's hard. But I'm happy for her. And on the business side, it's been tricky. I mean, the pandemic and the economy and all these different things has affected us, not so much in terms of the business coming in, but how we handle the business. And we kind of hit that growth plate where it's like, we have to do something different now, and that always causes a lot of turmoil. And it's been a little painful, to be honest with you, the last month.
Wait, explain what a growth plate is.
So to me, it's like, when you hit that place where you almost didn't realize you were growing so fast, and all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, there's a problem, and in order to go to the next level, you have to do something different. And until you hit that aha awareness moment, you don't really know that you have to do something different. And in my case, it looked like it was a people problem. So my employees were all inner, kind of this thing. But I'm like, no, it's not a people problem. This is a good problem. This is a business problem. We need to do something different. So, and then coming up with those solutions, and then of course, um, inputting them, or enforcing them, is a whole nother level. So, sometimes you just don't know when you hit that place of, you need to grow and you need to expand.
Was this like too many people were booked out in advance, like, and you were losing business because people didn't want to wait a week, or what?
A little of that, but a lot of it is, my therapists are people, they're human beings, and they can only do so much. And we're doing as many as we can. And if one of them gets sick, oh, wow. And then what do we, and we have nowhere to turn. So we don't have those extra buffers to help to move those appointments sometimes. And
Wow.
when you have two people sick in 1 week, that's even, so it's been like COVID's not over, and people are still getting sick, and we just don't have the capacity to, so we're looking for people like everybody else to support our business, but it's not easy to find the right people. So,
Definitely,
yeah.
definitely. When you were talking about your daughter, you emphasized the difference between solo and single. What does that mean?
Mhm. So, for me, as a sole parent, I don't have I'm not divorced. I don't have a husband that I can say, "Hey, you've got her for the weekend. I'm going to go away," or it's like I'm 24/7, and I'm still single parent, but I really define it as a sole parent because I don't have another person to help me with the parenting. On one hand, I'm grateful that I was able to raise my daughter on my own, because then you don't have the conflict of the other parent.
Yes.
So, so there is that. But it's not been. I won't say it's been hard, but I will say that there's times that I wish I had another person to bounce something by or what have you. But you
Yeah.
know, so far
Now,
so good though.
are
She's
you saying solo or soul, like
soul,
SOL?
soul, like a single soul, like
Soul.
SOLE.
I've
Mhm.
never heard of that before.
Yeah, yeah.
And you're totally right. I've gone into conversations about that before, on how single moms, or now you're saying soul, get this bad, when you go into it, you're kind of like, oh, dang it. I don't have somebody. But if you look at the flip side of it, which is what you're saying, it's so true, because the conflict between two people can
Mhm.
sometimes be so heavy. And
Yeah.
same, I was a single mom, but like I got to make all the rules. There wasn't
Mhm.
any, and that's awesome.
Mhm.
No offense to anybody who's married or like in co-parenting situations, but it
Right.
is, or
Yeah.
what's nice.
It is kind of the silver lining, and, I
Yeah,
mean, I will say I
exactly. Thank
have
you.
a great relationship with my daughter,
Yeah.
and I'm grateful for that,
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to look at that. You have to look at the benefits of your situation, no matter what it
Yeah.
is. And
For
that is one of them.
Mhm.
That is
Yeah,
one of them.
it's very true.
When you think about, your life and all of the journeys that you've been on, up to this point, what would you say would be one of the biggest challenges you've had in your life, and what did you learn from it?
Yeah. So, I mean, my you had mentioned that, my husband had passed away, and that was not planned. One day everything's fine. The next day, he's diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, which is never really a great diagnosis. I mean, very few people survive. It's less than 5%, and has been that way for a long time, and hasn't changed since he passed 8 years ago. And that was the time my daughter was 5 at the time when he got sick. I'm like reeling from, "Well, how do I do this?" And the whole thing about self-care, I knew how to take care of myself. I was the person that put the towel and the robe in the dryer when I was in the shower, so it was nice and warm when I got out. And
Yeah.
I always did these things to like really up level my self-care. And this is 20 years ago. I was doing things like this, um, when this was happening, I everything went out the window. It was like I had no desire to take care of myself. I had no time to take care of myself. And I found it to be like I could do it, and I did. And taking my daughter to the bus when she was 5, and I'd come back, and my husband would lay in my lap and cry because he didn't know what to do. And then the dog's looking at me, can you feed me? And it was just like, okay, I'm doing this. This is it. And I'll never forget the day my husband and I went for a walk, and he was apologizing for what was going on. And I said, look, I got this. This is what I was meant to do. And it was sort of like that moment where I went, this is why we're together. I'm here to walk him through this last chapter of his life. And I knew it in my bones, and when I realized that, I was able to sort of shift
Wow.
into, instead of pity, instead of victimized, why is this happening to me? It's like I was just in go mode. Now, go mode meant also I didn't really do much for myself.
Yeah.
But but it was what I needed to do, and it was a short period of time in order to love him through what he went through, and my daughter.
Where do you think you got that thought process from, as far as I was meant to do this? Where did you,
Yeah.
because
Um,
not everybody's going to view it. How were you able to do that?
mhm.
Someone teach
Well, I was fortunate. Back in 1999, I did a program, a spiritual psychology program, through the University of Santa Monica. It's out of California. And it was a deep dive into owning and taking responsibility for your life, being, clearing all the old cobwebs, knowing who you are, a very, very deep dive. It's a 2-year program. And then I also received a counseling degree from them for another 2 years. But it taught me how to look at things, how to look at the other side, always look at the other side, because there is a silver lining in everything we do.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the one thing I'll never forget them saying is, how do you know this isn't exactly what your soul signed up for? How do you know? And
Wow.
how and I remembered that, all the time. I had a miscarriage before I had my daughter Hannah, and I was devastated. But I went to, how do I know that that wasn't exactly what that soul needed and what my soul needed in this lifetime?
Wow.
So, if we can go to those places, I really think, um, you can get through things with a little bit, taking that higher perspective, not taking a higher road. That's different, but looking at it from a bigger place.
Definitely. What made you take that class? Why? What pulled you to
Um, I've always been a seeker, always. Like, I've always been in this program or that program or what have you. And I decided that I dated somebody for 9.5 years that was fairly unconscious and, an atheist and all this stuff. And I was like, what the heck am I doing? We broke up for the third time. And I had a friend that was doing this program, and I just was drawn to it. And I was like, I need something. I need to get back to me. I need to get back to believing. I grew up Catholic. I'm a recovering Catholic is what I call it. And not to I'm not bashing religion or even at all the Catholic religion, but it wasn't for me. But what was for me was learning that there is, a bigger, the universe or God or whatever you want to call it is in support of us.
Yeah.
It isn't against us. It's in support of us.
Yeah.
And that's what drew me to that program, I would say.
Yeah. So, there's individuals that won't touch personal development or,
Mm,
you know, growth or
mhm.
anything like that. What's your take on the difference? Like, what you learned. Um, what's your take on it? Do you think it's something everybody should do? Doesn't really matter? Gung ho? What's your thought process?
Yeah. Um, good question. I think for me, no, I don't think everybody has to do it. I would recommend that somebody that if I just had a conversation with somebody last night, and I was saying, you've never been here before. You're using the same brain that got you here to get you out of it. How's that working for you? So
Yeah.
sometimes we need a book or a person or a podcast or something to help us to maybe think a little different. And there's no shame in that. I mean, if you've never been somewhere, how are you supposed to know how to fix it, get somewhere else, or change it?
Yeah.
And that's just me. I mean, I always have at least two or three like mentors or therapists or whatever in my life that
Yeah.
do different things for me. And that's just me. I have no shame in that because, you know, I want to have the best life I can have.
Definitely, definitely. I talk often of that about how important it is to, well, first personal development, but also just to have people around you who know a little bit more than you, because at any given time, just like your story, actually, within 24 hours, you could go from having no cancer to having cancer. You
Mhm,
can go from not being pregnant to pregnant. You can go from not, to married to divorced,
mhm,
or to like getting divorced within 24 hours.
mhm.
And just what you said, like, we don't know how to do that.
Right,
So, yeah. So, like, everything you've been doing up till that thing, you don't know unless
right,
you have someone, or you're reading something, or listening to a podcast or something that
right.
is teaching you how to do that new thing that you've now been, that you've now encountered.
Right, right, and I think that, when I say that to people, like, "You've not been here, so how are you gonna do this?"
I love
They're
that.
like, "Oh, good point."
Yeah.
And, and I also realize that not people don't always have access to financial means to hire a coach or go to a therapist or whatever, but you know what? There's groups out there. There's ways to get, support groups and different things, and, I just encourage people to look for those like-minded people that you can connect with. And, it doesn't have to be a professional therapist or a coach or, you can go to a church and engage in some of the things there or see a pastor, whatever. It doesn't have to cost you money.
Definitely. When your husband, first of all, why did your husband get diagnosed with something the matter? Like,
Well, yeah, I mean, I was actually on a trip and he thought he had diverticulitis because he's had that before and he kind of felt like his similar symptoms. And he took himself to the hospital. I wasn't in town. My daughter was like 5. And my neighbor calls me and says, "Oh, we've got Hannah. Don't worry. We know Dean's in the hospital." I'm like, "What?" And and it wasn't diverticulitis. It was pancreatic cancer. And it's a hidden disease, as most, if you know anything about it.
yeah.
He went through a surgery, and we thought that it was an isolated tumor, and when they opened him up, it had metastasized in little specks all over.
Wow.
So he was with us for 15 months. We had a few really good months, and and I had a lot of support from his family, and he's got 2 daughters from a previous marriage, who are still in my life and, love me to this day, daily, weekly conversations, and
Oh, I love
I'm
that.
a bonus grandma. One of the girls has 2 little ones, so they call me BG for bonus grandma.
Oh, I love
Yeah,
that.
so it's actually been pretty joyful, as painful as it was.
Yeah.
I have a new family, and
Yeah.
yeah.
Did you get, besides your family support, did you seek out anything regarding dealing with somebody who's ailing from cancer, like a book
Um,
or a mentor or a therapist?
I did. I belong to a Science of Mind church, which is practitioners, and I had some assistance from there. From USM, from the school I went to, we had a few of those mentors that were involved, and a lot of them were actually working with my husband too, like, and just being there with him and doing daily, prayer or positive intention work, and just kind of helping him through it. And he wanted to have those people for himself too. And you know I mean, people just show up, I have to say. If you let them, people will show up.
We have a question. What is science of the mind?
Oh, okay. Hi, Dane. Science of Mind is a kind of like one of the New Thought religious organizations. They a lot that it's all faiths belong. Most people that maybe have that want to believe in something bigger than them, but don't want it to be a specific dogma or religious protocol. And there's another church called the Unity Church that is similar, but they're basically New Thought churches.
Beautiful. And that's you're in Colorado, right?
Yeah, yeah, they're all over the place, but yeah, the one I go to is Mile High, and they have lots of cool speakers like Joe Dispenza and Wayne Dyer when he was alive, and different. Those are the types of thinking that they sort of embrace.
Yeah. So I'm intrigued to ask this question after you're talking about this, and also just you've encountered the passing of your husband, which not everyone goes through that.
Mm-mm.
But what do you think is the meaning of life?
The meaning of life is to find your true purpose. And what I mean by that isn't a job or what you do for a living. Your purpose is how you show up and who you are to the rest of the world. I happen to know my purpose is networking and connecting people. I I enjoy being a conduit for people to find what they need. I can't provide it necessarily, but I can give them the right direction for it. So I think the meaning of life is to fully live in who you are, and not focus on what you do.
Yeah.
You can be a garbage truck driver, but if you are happy and you live your life from purpose, we need garbage truck drivers.
Yeah, totally. I agree.
Labor shortage, if we just didn't have people to pick up our garbage, we would all be like, hello,
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
we can do without like maybe an extra Starbucks person, but garbage truck drivers, no.
Yes, I agree. When did you find out about your purpose? When did you come to that realization?
Yeah, I've, as I mentioned, I'm a seeker. I've done a lot of interpersonal work, and I used to think what I did was who I was, and I learned over and over and over and over to really find out who you are in the world, not what you do. And I think it was just a series of when you hear something, read something, I always say, I saw the movie, read the book, went to the class, had the session, and I've done all those things. And sometimes you hear it from 5 or 6 different places and you're like, oh, okay, now I'm going to like focus on this. And I think if anybody's heard that before, that this might be your chance to like, just say, okay, it's not about whether I'm a doctor, a lawyer, even a parent. It's like, who are you to those people that you serve?
Yes. Oh, that's so interesting. So your purpose is to connect people.
And network, and yeah, and be that network and that connector for people. I mean, a lot of my friends all my life, it says, you should do like one of those Angie's books, People call me for the weirdest things, and I'll be like, oh yeah, I know somebody, or you should do this, or and it's not like I'm an expert in anything. I'm, you know what it is? I'm like I'm an early adopter. So do you know what that means?
Like a doer, like you
Well, I
see
will try
something you
things.
do right away.
No, I will try things before anybody else will. I'll be like, oh, that's cool. I want to do that. And then I'll do it and I'll go, oh, well, meh. Or I'll go, oh, wow, and that's where my whole spa got created
Wow.
because I wanted different things. We do different things at my spa. That I've had industry leaders that have been in the business for 30 years come into my spa and go, this is different. Like these are
Wow.
people that know the business. And the reason is because I would try things. I mean, I love gadgets. I love, classes. I like books. I do, whatever's new and if interesting. That's why I know things because I will try them first because I'm curious. So
That's
that's an early adopter. That's what in the marketing world, that's what they call me.
So who taught you this? Like, where does this come from? Mom, dad, lineage of like being a seeker and trying new things?
Mhm.
Where does that come
Yeah.
from?
I want to say, I mean, I've thought about this many times, and although I grew up pretty in a modest, family, I was the fifth, the baby of five girls, and my mom was like, she was always coming up with something, like it almost always had to do with her health because she had arthritis and she was overweight and she was always trying something new or doing something different. And I think I just sort of was like, oh, okay, like, oh, that sounds cool, or I should do that, or, and I think it was just maybe being around her.
Mhm.
But then also just, I think a lot of times it's innate in people. If you're a seeker, um, you're going to be looking. And the other thing is personally, I'm not afraid to try things.
Yeah.
I'm just not afraid to. And some people are. Some people need to like know all the details of things, and that's just their personality. And there's nothing wrong with that either.
Yeah.
It's just who I am. It's like I don't have like a whole lot of trust issues.
Yeah. I'm very similar to that. My parents always say, I don't know where you came from. Like everything you're doing is just so out from what we are or what we taught you. Like
Right.
you don't
Right.
even know how you ended up the
Yeah.
way you ended
How,
up.
how
So
cool
that's
is how
interesting.
cool is that though, huh?
Yeah. Um, but I have a hard time with that, the whole nature versus nurture thing. It's like
Mhm.
I don't know if I feel like it did come from, like I blame a lot of it on just the fact that we were always doing something.
Mm,
Hispanic background, so we're just innately like workhorses. We're constantly
mhm,
working. So it's just instead of like physical working, which is what I did growing up, I use my mental
mhm,
capacity working. So I don't know. That's interesting. That's
mhm.
interesting.
Yeah,
I appreciate
yeah.
that concept. You're talking about always trying something new. Can you tell us what's like the latest in business or personal,
Mhm.
the latest like new thing that you've tried that you like appreciated?
Yeah. So, a couple things. I just went to the spa convention, which, by the way, is very cool. Like I go there. I used to be in the food industry, and that was like one thing. And now I go to the spa convention, and it's like you get all fun products and stuff. But
Wow.
currently, a really, really big thing that's popular right now is, obviously mental wellness is a huge, huge category, and helping people to reduce their anxiety through sound. And I'm talking like ancient sound, like not like current sound. We use a lot of sound therapy at my spa, but there's also like there was this product that I tried, and it's like you put this mask on and you listen to this music, and the music, the way it's their binaural beats and such, it really it takes you to another level so you can open like your creativity. It just once your stress is reduced and that cortisol is moved to a manageable level, all kinds of synapses start to happen in your brain. And there's a lot of studies right now going on with sound and how sound can help you. And I do actually have a guy that I recommend. His name is Michael Tyrell, and he has some really, really good music. I also love going on YouTube and finding out. It's called Hertz Music. 528HZ is the healing. And so if you just go into YouTube, you can find the most incredible music and just let it rip through your house, and it can just really shift shift you into a new place. Just the music itself.
So
So
how do you do sound therapy at your spa? What does it
yeah.
look like?
So we have these sound vibrational chairs that people sit in, and we put this binaural music through, and the chairs have transducers in them, so it vibrates the chair, and it goes right through your body, and it literally cell by cell kind of like chills you down. It's like 30 minutes is like 4 hours of sleep. So we do that. And we also use our singing bowl in all of our treatments. And that's more of the current technology is the chairs, the ancient technology is the bowl. And
Yeah.
we use that in each treatment twice. And that really helps to, bring the body into a more symbiotic way so that it can receive the treatment easier. And so a lot of people leave our place going, what happened? Because that we did these few things that got them to a level where their body could receive treatment quicker and better and more importantly, more beneficial to the person. So
Yes.
yeah.
Wow. So the bowl, you're talking about like the crystal bowls that you
No, I'll show you. I have one right here. Like a
bowl. Okay.
we use these. They're Tibetan singing bowls. They're all from Tibet. They're tuned to the healing fifth. We're all about healing and bringing people into a space of healing. So, bowls are great if you can learn how to do them online, for God's sakes, So,
Yes.
yeah.
That's cool. What gets you excited about life?
Learning new things, meeting new people. I'm excited about, the future of my business. I'm excited about a future with, another partner. I'm been dating and it's been interesting. There's probably a whole nother podcast. Um,
That's
yeah,
great.
yeah, probably many women, if any women listening are in that situation. Yes, it's very interesting.
How are you doing it? How are you deciding to do it?
Well, I did go online, and that's kind of how I've met most of the people. And I have met somebody recently that has been great, so that's been kind of fun. Um, and I gave him my 6 rules of in order to get the first date, and this is after 3 years of dating and going, "Are you kidding me?" You know. So I have my 6 rules, and he knows them and brings them up often. Like I remember. I'm like, good.
How did you create your 6 rules? What
Well,
did
they
you?
were from my experience,
Okay.
because I mean, it's crazy, like the
Yeah.
things that people say and do,
So
and
just as you're going along, you're starting to realize that you're not accepting that has now become a rule
oh,
because of
oh yeah, yeah,
that's
and then I started just like if I met somebody, I said, "This is kind of how it is," because I was like done, like I'm not going to act like, "Oh, I'll just see how this goes." I'm
yeah.
like, "No, we're gonna give this a little direction."
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Very cool. Well, I love that you're using the online or whatever you're using. So
Mhm.
many women, maybe men, but I'm in a lot of women's groups. So many women tend to make it a negative.
Yeah.
And it can be fun if
Yeah.
if you allow it to be fun.
Right.
It doesn't have to be horrible. It could be humorous.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I mean, I could oh my god, I could tell you stories. But it's like also, because the early adopter in me, I keep trying and keep
Yeah.
trying, and, I got frustrated, and I literally had taken myself off of all the platforms, and this person that I'm dating now, um, it somehow he got through my shut down account, so I was kinda like, how'd that happen? And then I realized that I had liked him already, and I was like, "Well, I'm gonna see what this is." And then, I gave him my rules. He agreed to them. We went out on a few dates, and we're still together 4 months later, so yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's kind of
I
fun.
love that.
Yeah.
I did something a little bit similar. I met my fiance on a dating app,
Mm.
and what I was doing is in the description, they have that little area you can write a bunch of stuff. I have
Hmm.
my description. But then every week that went by, I had gone on 1 or 2 dates that week. I would give updates or like an extension of like rules that are now occurring
Yeah.
because of these 1 or 2 dates. And it got to be like, I don't know, 12, 15 like little segments long. And I made them hilarious. Like I made them funny.
I love it.
But it was cool because when my fiance came across my description, he literally was dying of laughter. He's like, "This is hilarious." So it was kind of cool because it got to show, first
Yeah.
of all, that I am worthy of being on dates, and
Hmm.
then second of all that I'm funny. So it was so I used it in that sense. Like I
Yeah,
used
I
it.
love that. That is so creative. That's a really, really good idea.
Yeah, just kidding. So I was just like, all right, third week, this is what we've learned. And then just wrote like 1 or 2 sentences, no big deal.
I love
But
it.
made it funny. And it was always a nice conversation, when we went on our first date to talk about it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I had a blast though, so much so, and I joke about this so much so that I wish when I met my fiance, I liked him so much, but I was kind of low key pissed because I was having so much fun.
That's so funny. That's
I
hilarious.
was like,
I
damn
love it.
it. I really like this guy. Why couldn't you have come like just a couple
It
weeks?
was kind of fun. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
That's good that
But
you had fun.
yeah, but I'm so glad that you're out there and you're doing that thing because
Yeah.
it's just like what you're saying, it's your perspective. And what's your rule as far as individuals who have done personal development? Does it matter?
To date. Um, you know,
Like if they've done no work on themselves and they don't even argue correctly, like is that
yeah.
a thing? Like,
It probably wouldn't work for me. That somebody that's not at least introspective at some
yeah,
level.
okay,
They don't have to be like me. They don't have to have done what I've done. But I think having somebody that can actually look at themselves, one of my key things in life,
okay,
whether you're a friend, a date, a family member, whatever, it's taking personal responsibility for your actions, behaviors. It I can't do it. I cannot do it if you're blaming or doing, having making excuses for something. It's just a big no for me. I don't care if you're an employee or what. It's a big no. And I'm very clear about that with the people I've dated and the people in my life that, this is kind of a requirement. I'm not
yeah,
gonna you have to own your stuff.
yeah,
You don't have to be perfect. You just have to
yeah,
own your stuff. You have to just
yeah,
say, "Hey," like one of the things I've done with my daughter over the years is, when I've done something not parental, I'll say, "Hey, can we have a do-over? I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have said that.
I
Can you say"
love that.
I mean, and I feel like I do that with my employees too. It's like, "Look, hey, I wish I would have done this better. Can let's do it this way now, or let's do something new." Because none of us are perfect.
Yeah,
But when you own what you do, it just makes other people trust you more.
yes, absolutely. Man, your daughter's really getting that's great that you're teaching her that so
Yeah.
young.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm grateful for that, that I've been able to do that with her.
Yeah, because 'cause you're teaching her what's acceptable in other people and then also
Mhm.
how to do it. I was
Right.
not taught how to do it.
Yeah, nor was I.
Yeah, it was a mess.
Thanks for USM. USM was my parenting years.
Yes, 100%. What do you wish for?
Oh, right now, you know, um, patience, from the world, from the people in the world, from each other, with each other. Um, there's so much that none of us can control.
Yeah,
And I do go back to the the thing I said earlier, which is, how do I know that this isn't exactly what the world needs to go through right now for us to get to the next place? You
Yes.
know, the
I love that.
pandemic has affected us in so many ways we don't even know.
Yeah.
And we're finding them out day by day sometimes. And, we, in a way, it's like grieving, you think you should be over it, but we can't be over something that's still going on, you
Yeah.
know? So we just have to manage through it and deal with it in the
Yeah.
best we can. And patience and trusting each other and respecting each other is for me, the best way to do that.
Yeah. I totally agree with that. When it comes to, first of all, I'd love for you to talk about your business a little bit. I know we've been bragging about it, but can you, what is it? First of all, fivewellbeing.com,
Mhm,
for those of you
mhm.
that are here watching live. Thank you, by the way, for those of you watching live. We appreciate you being here, hanging out,
Yes.
listening to Betsy and I chit chat. For those of you watching on the replay, and who've made it this long, make sure you hashtag replay so we know you were where you were watching us, and we can send you some love. But first, why five?
Mhm.
Well-being.
Yeah. So when I was, uh, I'll just give you kind of a little longish story.
Yeah. Great.
When my husband used to ask me what were my dreams, what did I want? He used to always say, "You live your life like a spa," all these things. And I remember just when he asked me what I wanted, I was an older mom. I had my daughter when I was 43. And I was like, oh my God, I just want to get through the day. I just don't even know how to do this. I'm too old for this. And one day I was been seeing a Five Elements acupuncturist, and she was doing like, light years of work on me. Like it was healing me and helping me at so many levels, emotional, spiritual, physical. And when I started thinking about what I wanted to do, I would talk to her, and I loved the Five Elements. I loved what they meant. I felt like they gave a direction to my healing. And so I decided I wanted to do something around the Five Elements. So that's where the name Five Wellbeing came from. I had a company out of Sedona, Custom Blend, elemental oils, based on each element. So we do an aromatherapy journey with each treatment. So you'll go through and you'll smell. It's earth, fire, water, wood, and metal are the five traditional Chinese elements. There's other people throw air in there, but that's not the five traditional elements.
Okay.
And so you do a sniff test basically, and one of them will resonate with you and will tell you what that one means. And they'll go, how did you know? And it's crazy because your body will tell us what you need.
Are
So
you
I
serious
am
right
telling you,
now?
we nail it, nail it, nail it. We
Wait a minute, wait a minute. So a person who's about to go into some sort of like a massage, for instance,
Mhm.
there'll be a little, because I've had that before where people will be like, 3 cents, which one do you want? Is it
Right.
kind of like that?
Yeah. Yeah.
But this one's you do all of them, and one of them will resonate with me.
One of them will resonate. Some of them you might even be offended, like you'll be like, "Ugh." But, sometimes the one you was yuck the first time, the next time you come in, you're like, "Oh, that's the one I want." Because your body and your circumstances are telling you what you need. And we always tell you what the element means in balance and what it means out of balance.
Okay.
So, when you're out of balance in something, it could mean chaos and different things, and maybe your life is, and they'll go, "Oh my God, that is so me. That is what's going on with me right now." And I mean, we've done like street fairs where we, just drum on up business, and we've done them, and just random people walking along, and we'll tell them and they're like, how did you, and it's really their body telling us the way these were formulated. So we do that, and then we use that in the treatment. So then you're getting it on your body. So when you leave, it's like staying with you. And then we also have, of course, retail products that you can take home with it that are part of it. So
So
that's
cool.
that's where that came from. The five well-being was the just my experience with the five elements was profound.
Yeah.
And it also gave me a way to anchor my business, instead of just being the same old thing or another fluff and buff spa. I had a way to anchor it into something that was meaningful, at least to most people.
Yeah. Can you tell the story about how literally all of this started because of brochure?
Oh, right. So a friend of mine, I bought a building, literally bought a building, had no business plan, nothing. And
Yeah,
because I knew I needed to do something.
yeah,
And I told a friend, I said, I think it's going to be some kind of a spa or wellness kind of thing. So she sent me a brochure that was stapled, like literally probably 10 pages. And I'm
yeah,
like, oh, great. What am I going to get out of this? And I literally got one thing out of it was to hire a consultant.
yeah.
And that was the best thing I learned, and it was like, so don't ever, dismiss anything that comes through that might
Mhm.
help you, I found one of the best consultants in the business. She wanted to help me. To this day, she's a very good friend of mine. She helped
Wow.
me design my spa from the beginning, and, it's not only a beautiful place, but it's a functional place for the employees. Because a lot of places, it's like they focus on the beauty and they don't focus on the functionality. So,
Oh,
um,
okay.
yeah, so we've really, and that's why I think we get these great reviews because it's a place that you walk in and you go, "Ah." Now, it used to be a convent too, so that may have some energy in there of nun energy that kind of helps, but it's really that little piece of information helped me tremendously to create a place that, and I started branding it from the moment we did it. And so I could redo this place tomorrow. I'm not ready to, but everything from the color scheme to it's all it that's what I always recommend people when they start a business.
Mm.
Just brand it like you're going to make it big. If you never do, it'll still look like it. It'll still look good.
Yeah.
you know.
Oh,
So
that's interesting. Can
mhm.
you I feel like I do that, but can you expand on that? Do
Yeah,
it
so
yeah.
yeah, so you wanna always stay within, like, like, pick your colors, pick your don't do all kinds of crazy stuff on your website, do simple things, have the voice of who you are, and what I mean by that is you talk about your place, when you write about your place, it all has that same voice, that same tone.
Okay.
Teach your employees that this is the tone, this is what we use. Like we did a brand book. I had a marketing company do a brand book, and I have my colors. And everybody who ever does any work for me, here's my brand colors. Here's what it does. Here's how we do it. Never use Five Wellbeing alone. Always say Five Wellbeing Spa. Just little things that
Okay.
you need to be consistent. Because I think the more consistent you are with your messaging and your look, the more people start to recognize you, similar to like a Kleenex or, other
Yeah.
brands that, it's not hard to do anymore. I mean, you can go online and do beautiful graphics on Canva or beautiful posts that really, connect and resonate. And, you really want to, just that consistency is huge.
Yeah. Wow, that's so interesting. What would
Yeah.
you say to, females right now who are struggling with jumping into their dream?
Mm. Baby steps, 3-foot tosses. That's what we used to call it at USM. You've got 12 feet to go, do it 3 feet at a time, Um, if it's money, um, which, a lot of people that want to start businesses, it is about money. Start slow, um, but be clear about what you're doing. Don't have like if you want to be a Reiki master, let's say, don't be a Reiki master, a coach, and a massage therapist, and pick one lane and
Okay.
stay in your lane, um, and 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 work on your business every day if that's what you want to do. I
Beautiful.
I always say I work on my business, not in my business. Now, I'm fortunate that I have a staff and I have people that are running my business so that I can work on my business. So, does that
Yes.
make sense? Like, it's not that I don't go in there, and it's not like I don't have a shift. I don't have to be there every day at 8. I work on my business all the time. And if you're fortunate enough to be able to do that, that's when you get involved in the fray, you can't get that higher perspective, and
Absolutely.
you really need to have that in order to keep growing. Um, so, and I also had a coaching program that helped me. Cynthia James, who I know you've worked with
Yeah.
before,
Yeah.
I did her coaching program for 4 years. And it was, so it really helped me. I highly recommend people wanting to start their own business to get involved in some kind of mentorship,
Yeah.
coaching program, something, because again, I've never done this. I hadn't done this before. I
Yeah.
needed help,
Yeah.
and I got it. I found it. And and so far so good.
Yeah. We were just touching on that with the previous podcaster as far as feeling weak for asking for help.
Mm,
And it's so the opposite.
yeah.
We need to go out and search for the answers to things that we don't know the answers to. And that's okay. It doesn't make us not strong. It doesn't make us
Right.
weak. It doesn't make us vulnerable. It makes us smart,
Right. Right.
you know? Like imagine your spa and not getting that consultant, like how different the whole process would have been.
Yeah. I don't even know if it would be open, to be honest with you.
Wow.
Because I didn't know what I didn't know. I didn't know what to do. And, even now, I mean, boy, did if I could give you another podcast of just all the mistakes I've made,
Yeah.
but I don't let that stop me, because it's just part of the growth. It's part of the experience. And I wouldn't trade it for the world. Um, but at the same time, if I wish I knew what I know now, what I would have known back then, but
Yeah.
I do the best I can.
Yeah.
Uh, so, I mean, I don't care if you own your own business, or if you're, work for a company, or you run your own household. It's like, it's really about, about trusting and believing in yourself. And like you said, don't be afraid to ask for help. I mean, that's like error on approach. I mean, you need to, like, you know, get your group around you, get your sisters, or whoever your people are.
Yeah. Or get new people if your people aren't.
Or talk to Sabrina, for God's sake. She
Thank you.
probably knows more people than anybody I know.
Thank you for that plug. Thank you. Yes, 100%. Well, this has been fantastic. I love everything you're doing, and your spa is on my bucket list.
Oh, yay.
I really do. I really want to visit it.
We honestly do have people that come in from out of town to come to the spa. Now, it's kind of like maybe they were here on vacation or visiting people, and they'll come back.
I love it. And it's in a beautiful place like
Yeah.
Denver, Colorado. Everyone wants to go there.
Yeah.
So it's on my bucket list for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much,
Thank
Betsy, for
you.
hanging out with me and sharing some of your story and some of your journey. Truly inspirational. And I love your view on life, and how, the fact that you're a seeker has gotten you to where you are now. And it's definitely inspirational for other people out there who are a little more hesitant.
Yeah.
That when you do step outside of yourself or what you're used to, is there still mistakes? Yes, you've made that clear. Like, yeah, there's been some mistakes, but look at all you have to show for it now.
Right.
And your little girl has so much that
Yeah.
she's getting to see that she wouldn't have seen before if you would have stayed small. So
Yeah.
very, very cool.
If you're not, famous words of my friend Cynthia, if you're not afraid, it's not big enough.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Very cool. And a little plug to Cynthia. Actually,
Yeah.
her version here has interviewed Cynthia. So
Yes.
check that out. Yeah, just keep scrolling until
Yeah.
you see Cynthia James. She's wonderful.
She is.
Her her podcast was great.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. I
Thank
so
you.
appreciate you hanging out. For anyone who is resonating with Betsy and her story and her spa, check out her website, fivewellbeing.com. I'm assuming your social media, like they can follow you on
Mhm.
Facebook or something, is on
Yeah.
there.
Yep. We've got all the social medias and all that. And I can be reached through the website that if you want to ask a question or reach out or whatever, feel free to email us through the website, and I'd be happy to, connect.
Awesome.
So
Awesome. I
yeah.
love that. Well, thanks for hanging out. Thanks for taking some time out of your day. For those of you that are still hanging on, watching us live, thank you so much for being here and hanging out with us for the past hour. For those watching on the replay, make sure you hashtag replay before you click away. Thank you so much from the
Thank
Her
you.
Version community. Our community is expanding every single day and is filled with females who are striving to do better than they did yesterday. For those of you that are new to this podcast and like content like this, make sure you hit that subscribe button, follow, like, and share. If you have an amazing story to share of struggle to triumph, be sure to reach out to me here or at heraversion.life. I am your host, Sabrina Victoria, and I'm so grateful to be here to share a platform that helps inspire